Imagine you live with someone who organizes their spice rack alphabetically. Not because it looks nice, but because it has to be that way. Because if one jar is out of place, they feel like the world is spiraling into chaos. Now imagine you're the one who keeps messing it up, and then you tell them to just get over it. That's where today's story begins. Welcome to AITA Stories. Let's dive in. So, the original poster, let's call her Jenna, decided to share her side of the story after what she called a blowout with her roommate. They're both 22-year-old women, recently moved in together for grad school. They'd been friends in undergrad, clicked over coffee and cram sessions. But let's just say, living together is a different game. Jenna's roommate, we'll call her Riley, has OCD. Not the I like things clean type of OCD people joke about on Instagram. We're talking about real, diagnosed, clinical obsessive-compulsive disorder. She was diagnosed at 12. She's been in therapy. She takes medication. She's been managing it for over a decade. And that management includes things like always having the kitchen counters wiped in a certain pattern, keeping every spice jar labeled and arranged alphabetically, folding towels in precise thirds, and not letting anyone wear shoes in the apartment. Now, Riley made all of this clear when they moved in. She didn't bark orders. She explained that some of her routines aren't about being picky. They're survival mechanisms. And Jenna tried to be cool with it. She tried to respect Riley's systems. But after a few months, she was exhausted. She felt like she was walking on eggshells. Couldn't use the kitchen without getting a follow-up cleaning lecture. Left her shoes by the front door once and got a full-on anxiety spiral from Riley. Then came the final straw. One night, Jenna had a rough day at work. She came home, dumped her bag on the couch, reheated some leftover pasta, and ate it straight out of the Tupperware while scrolling her phone. She left the container in the sink, planning to clean it later. But Riley walked in, saw the sink, and panicked. She said she couldn't breathe, knowing there was dirty food left out. And Jenna, tired, annoyed, feeling like she was always the villain, snapped. She said, "You need to get over it. Not everything is going to be perfect. It's just a dish." Silence. And then Riley went into her room and didn't speak for 2 days. Jenna turned to Reddit, asking if she was the jerk. She said she was trying her best, that Riley's OCD made her feel like a guest in her own apartment, and that at some point, people with mental health issues need to adapt to the real world. Now here's where things get complicated, because the comments, they were a battleground. Some people took Jenna's side. They said, "You can't expect your roommate to control your every move. This is a shared space, not her therapy zone. You're not her emotional support animal." Others absolutely ripped into her. They said, "You don't tell someone with OCD to get over it. That's like telling someone with asthma to just breathe better. You moved in knowing she had this condition. You don't get to opt out when it's inconvenient." And the real kicker? A licensed therapist chimed in. They explained that OCD isn't about preferences. It's about intrusive thoughts and compulsions. Leaving the dish in the sink didn't just annoy Riley. It triggered a mental health crisis. The sink wasn't just a sink. It was chaos, contamination, loss of control. To Riley, that leftover pasta might as well have been a spider crawling up her spine. So now, we're at a crossroads, because Jenna feels like she's being held hostage by someone else's brain chemistry, and Riley feels like her safe space is being slowly dismantled. Who's right? Who's wrong? Or is everyone just drowning. Let's zoom out for a second. This story is about more than a messy kitchen. It's about boundaries. It's about invisible illnesses. It's about the collision between compassion and comfort. And maybe, just maybe, it's about how we treat the people who don't process the world the way we do. Because let's be honest, it's easy to love someone when their needs align with ours. It's harder when their needs inconvenience us, when they interrupt our routines, when they make us question if we're being selfish or just sane. And in Jenna's case, she didn't sign up to be a caretaker. But Riley didn't sign up to have a brain that treats misaligned Tupperware like a fire alarm. They both feel misunderstood. They both feel disrespected. They both feel alone, living in the same apartment. So where do we go from here? Here's what should have happened. Jenna should have sat down with Riley before things exploded. She should have said, "I want to support you, but I'm burning out. Can we find compromises?" And Riley should have said, "Here are the things I can bend on, and here are the things I can't." They could have co-created a space. Instead, they built emotional walls and tossed passive-aggressive grenades over them. This story teaches us something huge. Mental health is real. Invisible disorders deserve visible compassion. But compassion goes both ways. You can have OCD and still owe your roommate communication. You can be neurotypical and still make space for neurodivergent people. Living together doesn't mean total alignment. It means negotiation, grace, effort. It means understanding that what looks crazy to you might feel like survival to someone else. So, was Jenna the asshole? Honestly, yes, but not because she's a bad person. Because she snapped in frustration instead of opening a conversation. Because she minimized something she didn't understand. Because she chose being right over being kind. But she's also human, overwhelmed, trying, failing, learning, just like all of us. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever lived with someone who had a condition you didn't understand? Where do we draw the line between support and self-preservation? Should people with serious mental health conditions warn roommates about the full scope of their behaviors? Or is that discrimination in disguise? Is Jenna cruel or just a product of a society that still treats mental illness like a personality quirk? Comment below. Tell us your story, your frustration, your learning curve. And remember, next time someone says, "Get over it," maybe we should ask what they're really trying to get through. This is AITA Stories. See you in the next one.